Have you ever asked an AI for, I don't know, a creative idea, and you get the same kind of boring answer over and over again? Well, it turns out there's a really good reason for that. And a deceptively simple trick to fix it. A way to unlock all the creativity that's actually hidden inside these models. Let's break down how it all works.
Okay, just look at this. On the left, we asked a top-tier AI model for a joke about coffee. We asked it 5 times, and we got the exact same joke 5 times. Why did the coffee file a police report? Because it got mugged. It's fine, but, it gets old fast. Now look at the right. We made one tiny change to our prompt, and suddenly we get 5 totally different, actually pretty clever jokes. The difference is just night and day. So what in the world is going on here?
That whole coffee joke situation, it's not a fluke. It's a classic example of something I think pretty much everyone who uses AI has run into. The model just gets stuck in this repetitive rut, spitting out the most common, the most predictable response it can think of. Now, this actually has a name. It's called mode collapse. A good way to think about it is like a radio station that has a library of 1,000 amazing songs, but for some reason, it only ever plays the #1 hit on repeat. The AI knows a huge variety of possible answers, but it just collapses down to the single, safest or most probable one, and it ignores everything else. For a while, the running theory was that this had to be some deep technical glitch, a flaw buried in the AI's complex training algorithms, or maybe its reward models. But some new research is pointing to a much more surprising culprit. Yeah, it turns out the root cause might not be the AI at all. It might actually be us. So the research paper that this whole explainer is based on points to a really fascinating culprit. They found what they call a pervasive data-level driver known as typicality bias. What that means in plain English is that the human feedback data, the very stuff used to fine-tune these AIs, is biased. We, the humans, have accidentally been teaching them to be less creative. So what exactly is typicality bias? Well, it's a well-documented little quirk of human psychology. When we're given a choice, we humans tend to prefer things that are familiar, easy for our brains to process, and predictable. It's the reason why, when you're staring at 100 wild ice cream flavors, a lot of people just order vanilla. It's safe, it's familiar, it's typical. And this bias sort of plays out in a few key ways. First, there's the mere exposure effect, which just means we like stuff we've already seen. Second, something called processing fluency makes us favor things that are simple to understand. And third, schema congruity means we prefer ideas that already fit into our existing mental frameworks. So what's the result of all this? Well, when human trainers were rating AI responses, they unconsciously rewarded the vanilla answers over and over again. They were teaching the AI that being typical is good, which effectively trained the creativity right out of it. Now, if the problem is baked right into the AI's training, you might think, well, we're stuck then. But this is the brilliant part. The solution is astonishingly simple, and it's something anyone can start using, like right now. We don't need to go back and retrain these billion-dollar models from scratch. The fix happens at what's called inference time, which is really just a technical way of saying we can solve the whole problem just by changing the prompt we write. And here it is. This is the fix. Instead of just asking for an answer, like, tell me a joke, you ask for a distribution of answers. The absolute key is to prompt for multiple options and their corresponding probabilities. The researchers call this verbalized sampling, and it's basically like telling the AI, hey, don't just give me the #1 hit single, show me the whole playlist, and while you're at it, tell me how popular each song is. So, does this simple little change actually work? Well, the evidence is pretty staggering. Let's take a look at what happens when you put this technique into action. This example with the bear just brilliantly shows the power of this approach. A direct prompt for a story about a bear gives you 3 nearly identical tales of a bear walking through a forest. Pretty boring. But with verbalized sampling, you get a tax accountant bear named Bernard who lives in Seattle, a celestial star bear descending from a constellation, and a bear living in a forest made of glass. The AI had these ideas in it the whole time. We just weren't asking for them the right way. And this doesn't just work for words, it works for images too. You ask for an astronaut on a horse, and you'll probably get a bunch of photorealistic images set in a desert. But if you use this technique to generate a whole distribution of prompts, you unlock completely different artistic universes. You get whimsical watercolors, retrofuturist crom horses, and even a heroic astronaut in a Baroque painting. And this isn't just a feeling, this isn't just anecdotal. The researchers actually measured the semantic diversity of all the outputs, and as you can see from the data, the results are crystal clear. Direct prompting, it leads to low diversity.
But with verbalized sampling, that diversity just skyrockets. For creative writing tasks, this simple prompt change led to a 2.1 times increase in diversity. That's more than double the creativity just by changing how you ask the question.
So what this all really shows is that we're talking about more than just a neat party trick for getting better jokes. This could represent a really fundamental shift in how we can interact with AI. All right, so let's recap the big takeaways here. The AI's tendency to repeat itself, that mode collapse, isn't just a machine error. A lot of the time, it's a reflection of our own human preference for the typical and familiar. By asking for a distribution of answers, not just a single one, we can bypass this bias and unlock the full, diverse range of knowledge the AI was already trained on. And what's really fascinating is that the more powerful the AI model is, the more effective this technique actually becomes.
Ultimately, this whole thing is about changing our mindset. It's about shifting from just requesting a single final answer to actively exploring the vast space of possibilities that the AI actually holds. It's a move from extraction to real exploration.
And that leaves us with a pretty provocative final thought. If one simple change in how we frame our questions can unlock this much latent creativity, it really makes you wonder, what other incredible capabilities are just lying dormant inside these models, waiting for us to learn how to ask?